welcome back to our channel, your ultimate destination for everything Port Charles. Today is a beautiful day to unpack the absolute madness happening on our screens, and we are so excited to share our latest deep dive with you. Grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get straight into the drama. I am absolutely vibrating with adrenaline after looking at the narrative map for the week of June 8 to 12. Let me say this clearly right out of the gate. This is exactly what soap opera storytelling is supposed to look like, when the writers finally stop playing it safe and decide to detonate the bombs they have been planting for months. I am not just talking about surface-level shock value. I am talking about structural, character-driven collisions that fundamentally alter the landscape of the show. As someone who analyzes the mechanics of scriptwriting, I can tell you that you do not build a web this intricate unless you are prepared to burn the whole thing down. And honestly, it is about time. Let us start with the absolute masterclass in villainous architecture that Michael Corinthos is currently executing. Can we be honest about this for a second? Michael has completely crossed the Rubicon, and I am entirely here for it. He is no longer the righteous, moralizing golden boy. He has fully embraced the darkest, most manipulative traits of his father, but he is doing it with a cold, calculating precision that Sonny could never manage. Michael is actively plotting to push his own wife, Willow, into a massive betrayal with Harrison Chase. He is literally orchestrating his own cuckolding just to gather enough blackmail material to destroy her. But here is the stroke of absolute sickening genius. Michael's weapon of choice is Brooke Lynn Quartermain's darkest secret. We know that Brooke Lynn is the actual driver who fled the scene of Jordan Ashford's hit-and-run accident. We know that Isaiah Gannon, an innocent man, was falsely accused because of a coincidental scrape on his car. And we know that because Isaiah was accused, Curtis Ashford flew into a blind, violent rage and broke Isaiah's arm. Do you see the domino effect here? This is what I scream about when I talk about narrative architecture. Brooke Lynn's cowardice is the rotting foundation of this entire town's current misery, and Michael knows it. He knows that if he exposes Brooke Lynn as the true hit-and-run driver, it will absolutely obliterate her marriage to Chase. Chase is a Boy Scout. Chase is a cop who sees the world in black and white. When he finds out his wife let an innocent man take the fall, leading to a brutal assault, he will be disgusted. He will walk away from Brooke Lynn, and in his vulnerability, he will fall right into the arms of a waiting, desperate Willow. Am I supposed to pretend that this isn't brilliant writing? Because it is. It is toxic, it is manipulative, and it is the exact kind of high-stakes emotional warfare that makes daytime television legendary. Brooke Lynn is currently strutting around, trying to mark her territory and defend her marriage from Willow, completely oblivious to the fact that she is standing on a landmine that Michael has already wired to explode. Brooke Lynn is going to lose everything, and frankly, she deserves it. You cannot build a life on the destruction of others and expect to walk away clean. And speaking of building a life on lies, what on earth is Alexis Davis thinking? I mean, seriously, what is the end game here? The spoilers tell us that Alexis is going to deliver good news to Brooke Lynn and Chase, assuring them that Ethan Lovett is not going to be a problem regarding the paternity of little Phoebe. Alexis is going to claim she found no relatives, essentially clearing the path for Brooke Lynn and Chase to adopt the child. But we know she suspects Ethan is the biological father. Alexis is playing God. She is manipulating legal and biological truths to engineer a happy ending for Brooke Lynn, completely ignoring the fact that Ava Jerome is lurking in the shadows. Ava Jerome does not let things go. Ava is currently digging her perfectly manicured claws into Delilah Wilson, trying to expose the truth about Ethan's connections. Ethan wants out. He wants to sever his ties with Delilah and Phoebe to protect himself from the dangerous enemies hunting him, but Ava is going to use this leverage to cause maximum chaos. Alexis thinks she has neatly tied a bow on this adoption storyline, but she has actually just handed Ava the scissors to cut it to shreds. I have watched this show long enough to know that whenever a character tries to bury a paternity secret for the greater good, it blows up in their face with catastrophic collateral damage. Alexis is repeating the exact same mistakes she has made for decades, and the fallout is going to be spectacular. But if we want to talk about impending disasters, we have to look at the Davis women. Molly Lansing Davis and Cody Bell are currently enjoying this beautiful, romantic honeymoon phase. Molly is blissful, completely unaware of the absolute nightmare unfolding around her. Meanwhile, Christina Corinthos Davis is preparing for her medical school graduation. Let me just pause here. Christina is putting on a cap and gown, smiling for the cameras, preparing to take an oath to save lives, while actively hiding the fact that she, along with her mother Alexis and Ava Jerome, kidnapped and held Rick Lansing hostage. The dramatic irony here is suffocating. It is almost too thick to breathe. You have Molly, whose life was saved by the united front of Alexis and Rick, completely blind to the fact that her sister and mother committed a violent felony against her father. When this secret drops, and it will drop, because you do not write a kidnapping plot without a devastating reveal, it is going to tear the Davis family down to the studs. Cody is carrying the guilt of knowing where Rick really was, and that guilt is going to rot his relationship with Molly from the inside out. I am predicting right now that Christina's graduation will be the stage for this explosion. The writers are setting Molly up to be the ultimate victim of her family's deception, and the emotional betrayal will be unprecedented. Now, let us pivot to the collateral damage of Brooke Lynn's hit-and-run lie, Curtis Ashford. The news that Curtis is likely not going to get a plea deal and will be forced to fight for his freedom in a brutal court trial is, in my professional opinion, the best thing the writers could have done for his character. I am sorry, but this did not work for me, when Curtis was just running around town acting like a violent vigilante with zero consequences. He assaulted Isaiah. He broke a man's arm in a fit of misplaced rage. You cannot just sweep that under the rug with a slap on the wrist. Curtis needs to face the music. He needs to sit in a courtroom and realize that his toxic need to violently control every situation has finally cost him his freedom. But my heart absolutely breaks for Trina Robinson. Trina is always forced to carry the emotional baggage of her parents' disastrous choices. Trina is crumbling under the immense pressure of Curtis's impending trial, and it is threatening to completely derail her upcoming art show. This poor girl cannot have one moment of professional or personal triumph without her family's criminal chaos dragging her back down into the mud. The only saving grace here is Kai Taylor. Kai is watching Trina fall apart, and his concern for her is palpable. I am deeply invested in how Kai steps up for Trina in this moment. She needs a grounded anchor, someone who isn't tied to the mob or the police force, just a normal, supportive presence. If her art show turns into a disaster because of Curtis's legal drama, it will be a tragic but beautifully earned emotional beat. And while we are talking about the younger generation, I have to take a moment to applaud the integration of Gio and Emma Scorpio Drake. Gio confiding in Emma is exactly the kind of legacy connectivity this show thrives on. Emma carries the historical weight of the Scorpio and Drake families, and having her serve as a sounding board for Gio, whether he is stressing over Trina's collapse or Rocco's terrifying situation, grounds the teen scene in a rich history. It makes the universe feel lived in. It isn't just random new characters talking in a vacuum. It is the next generation inheriting the emotional intelligence of the veterans. Finally, we have to talk about the high-octane, pulse-pounding thriller happening over at Windermere and On the Run. Britt Westbourne and Rocco Falconeri are fleeing for their lives, and the stakes have never been higher. Britt, stepping into this fiercely protective, maternal role for Dante and Lulu's son, is one of the most compelling character evolutions I have seen in years. She is risking everything for this boy, but the forces hunting them are terrifying. Sonny Corinthos has dispatched Brick to track them down, utilizing his underground network, while the lethal Ross Cullum is actively hunting them using the limitless, terrifying resources of the WSB. This is a tactical manhunt. Brick versus Cullum. The mob's shadow network against the government's black ops machinery. I am on the edge of my seat waiting to see who finds them first, because the outcome will dictate whether Britt and Rocco survive. And while this manhunt rages on, Cullum has enacted a stroke of pure, sadistic genius. He is forcing Liesl Obrecht to take over Britt's abandoned project at the Windermere lab. Bringing Liesel back into the fold of mad science and high-stakes WSB espionage is a masterstroke. Liesel is inheriting her daughter's mess, and she is doing it under the crushing thumb of a man who could order her daughter's execution at any moment. The psychological torture Liesel must be enduring, knowing she has to perfect this project to keep Cullum appeased while praying Britt stays hidden, is Shakespearean. It ties the legacy of the Faison Obrecht madness perfectly into the current narrative. This week of General Hospital is not just transition material. It is the climax of multiple, deeply layered storylines. The writers are weaving a tapestry of betrayal, legal jeopardy, and life or death stakes, and they are doing it with a confidence that demands our attention. Brooke Lynn is about to be exposed. Michael is orchestrating his own marital demise. Curtis is facing the wrath of the law, and Britt is running out of places to hide. I am furious at half these characters, utterly heartbroken for the rest, and I cannot wait to see how it all burns down. Let the chaos reign.